History spares no mercy for the man who binds his fate to the wrong woman. It's a brutal lesson every man learns, often too late, standing amidst the ruins of his dreams, wondering how he surrendered his potential without a fight. The world won't warn you, your mother won't speak it, your friends can't see it. Society, it thrives on your ignorance. But Machiavelli, the master of human nature, saw through the veil. He knew that behind every fallen man lies not destiny or misfortune, but a single, devastating choice. The wrong woman, foolishly welcomed into his life. Welcome to Soul Sync 365, where we don't sell fairy tales, we forge men who survive and thrive. Machiavelli's words cut like a blade. Men judge more from appearances than from reality. All have eyes, but few see the truth today. We're ripping away the illusions. There are only two kinds of women in this world, those who elevate your life and those who destroy it. No gray areas, no excuses. Choose wisely, and you build a legacy. Choose poorly, and you become the architect of your own downfall. Here's the stark reality. Many women have perfected the art of seeming indispensable while quietly draining your strength. Call it what it is, parasites cloaked in charm. This isn't about sugarcoating or playing nice. It's about arming you with the clarity to protect your future. In this video, we're exposing the signs, the traps, and the truths no one else dares to speak. If you're ready to choose with eyes wide open and reclaim your power, stay locked in. This is your wake-up call. Let's begin. Your ruin begins with one mistake, the woman you let in. You think your downfall begins with failure, with laziness, with bad luck. But what if it starts with a smile, with beauty, with the wrong woman? Machiavelli understood something most modern men forget. Power isn't just lost on the battlefield, it's lost in the bedroom, in the soft whispers of a woman who doesn't share your mission. Behind many fallen kings stands not just an enemy, but a queen who never believed in the kingdom. And this is where your undoing begins, not with hate, but with misaligned love. This isn't about blaming women. It's about calling out the dangerous illusion that romance is immune to strategy, that love can thrive without discipline, that any woman who makes your heart race belongs in your life. Carl Jung would disagree. He knew projection, the unconscious tendency to see what we want to see in another, is one of the most dangerous forces in psychology. A woman smiles, and you see peace. She flatters you, and you hear loyalty. But what if it's all a script? What if you've cast her as your muse, when she's actually your undoing? Here's the bitter truth. Most men don't fall because they are weak. They fall because they choose wrong. They hand over their time, vision, and purpose to someone who neither understands it nor respects it. Why? Because they're afraid of being alone. Because the fear of solitude is louder than the voice of discernment. Machiavelli never encouraged cruelty without cause, but he warned that softness, when misapplied, becomes self-sabotage. You must rule your kingdom, and a man who cannot govern the gates of his own heart will soon watch his empire crumble, not from invasion, but from rot within. Jung saw it too. He spoke of the shadow, the parts of us we deny. For many men, that shadow is the craving to be chosen, loved, validated at any cost. So they betray themselves, they compromise, they invite in chaos wearing perfume and overlook the red flags that will soon become fires. But a stoic man does not choose under pressure. He doesn't pick based on pleasure. He chooses from principle. He chooses from power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." In relationships, that means this: you don't get to control her actions, but you get to choose who you allow into your life. And that choice must be ruthless, not cruel, not bitter, but surgical. You don't give the keys to your kingdom to someone who scoffs at your discipline, your ambition, or your mission. You don't let someone in just because they're beautiful unless you're willing to pay the price for that mistake. Because in the end, there are only two kinds of women: those who build with you and those who break you down while smiling. So here's the real test. Does she nourish your focus or drain it? Does she understand your silence or resent it? Does she admire your mission or compete with it? If you can't say yes, then say goodbye, because if she's not aligned with your purpose, she's already aligned with your downfall. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you tolerate. Comment below. I protect my kingdom, not just my heart. Behind her beauty, what truth does she hide? A beautiful face can blind a man quicker than any lie. And Machiavelli would tell you this. The greatest dangers wear the prettiest masks. Too many men choose based on looks alone. Believing beauty is a blessing when it's often a distraction. She smiles, and you lose focus. She looks perfect in public, so you ignore her behavior in private. But Carl Jung warned, the unconscious doesn't care about appearances. It only reveals truth through patterns. And if you're not paying attention, you'll repeat those patterns until they destroy you. Let's be brutally honest. Some women are polished poison. They speak softly but belittle your vision. They compliment you in the light, but quietly sabotage your growth when no one's watching. And you let them. Why? Because she looks like everything you wanted. But you forgot to ask, is she aligned with what you actually need? Machiavelli's insight was cold but clear. Do not trust what pleases the eye until you understand what serves your power, because a kingdom can fall at the hands of a queen who never believed in the king's purpose. So how do you protect yourself? Don't just watch how she acts toward you. Watch how she treats others, the waiter, her family, the friend who no longer benefits her. That's where her character lives. And when conflict arises, does she stay calm, or does chaos follow her like a shadow, Jung would say? What you resist not only persists, but grows in size. If she resists reflection, avoids responsibility, and blames others for everything, that will grow. And one day, it'll turn on you. The Stoic path demands clarity over chemistry. It demands you ask the uncomfortable question. Would I still want her if I went blind tomorrow? If the answer is no, you're not in love, you're enchanted by your own projection. Look deeper. Is she loyal when no one's looking? Does she respect your boundaries without punishment? Does she admire your values, or merely enjoy your presence? This is your test, because the woman you choose doesn't just enter your bed, she enters your future. She will either multiply your purpose or drain it like a slow poison. And the price, your energy, your ambition, your clarity, even your legacy. So be ruthless. Let others call it harsh. Let them misunderstand your standards. You're not building a fairy tale, you're building a fortress. And only a queen who respects the kingdom deserves a place beside its king. Stop asking if she's pretty. Start asking if she's peace. Now comment below. I choose from vision, not weakness. If she fights your mission, she's not meant to walk beside you. Power without direction is chaos. And chaos in a relationship begins the moment a man surrenders his mission to appease a woman who neither sees it nor supports it. Machiavelli warned rulers, never share power with those who do not respect it. And yet today, many men hand over their kingdom, their time, focus, energy to women who quietly resent the very strength they fell for. Let's make something clear. A woman who challenges your leadership without purpose, who resents your discipline or mocks your ambitions, is not your partner. She's your opponent. You're not in a relationship, you're in a cold war. This isn't about controlling a woman, it's about not submitting your identity. It's about recognizing that a man with a mission cannot afford a relationship that disrupts his clarity. When your decisions are met with passive resistance, sarcasm, or power games, you lose more than peace, you lose direction. Jung would call this shadow projection, where unhealed parts of her psyche reject masculine leadership because of unresolved father wounds or cultural resentment. The result, she can't surrender trust without seeing it as weakness. And so, she competes, not with logic, not with love, but with subtle defiance. She questions not because she seeks truth, but because she fears losing control. And you, if you don't understand this, you'll begin dimming your light just to keep the peace. You'll explain yourself more, you'll shrink your mission to avoid conflict. You'll convince yourself you're being understanding, but in truth, you're being undermined. True feminine energy doesn't need to dominate. It thrives under strength it respects. A woman who is aligned with your purpose doesn't compete. She complements. She doesn't fear your power, she's inspired by it. Here's how you identify the difference. Does she elevate you when you talk about your goals? Or roll her eyes? Does she step in with support when you're under pressure? Or increase the chaos? Does she honor your leadership in private? Or undermine it with passive digs? You cannot fake respect. It shows in her tone, her presence, her loyalty under pressure. And when she doesn't offer it, you don't argue, you exit, because staying means negotiating your purpose. And once you trade your purpose for her comfort, you become disposable. The Stoics said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And in love, this means choosing solitude over subservience. If you must become less to be loved, it isn't love, it's emotional erosion. So what do? You lead without apology. You state your standards. You guard your energy like a throne room. You tell her, "This is the vision. Walk with me or walk away." Because your time is limited. Your energy is finite. Your legacy is on the line. And no short-term companionship is worth a long-term compromise of your purpose. Don't beg her to follow. Walk your path like a king. Now comment below. I serve my mission, not her moods, her stillness, or her chaos. The truth revealed in boredom. There is no clearer mirror of a woman's soul than how she behaves in boredom. Not during passion, not during celebrations, but in the silence between moments when there's no spotlight, no stimulation, no curated affection, only space. This is where truth emerges. Machiavelli said, "To know the character of a ruler, observe how they act when the kingdom is at peace." The same principle applies to women. When the relationship isn't thrilling, when attention isn't constant, does she create harmony or does she manufacture drama? A woman of substance brings value in stillness. She doesn't need constant entertainment or praise because she is whole within herself. Her presence soothes the room, not because she performs, but because she's internally ordered. Her peace is her power. But contrast this with the woman who panics in silence, who craves chaos to feel alive. These are the women who stir up conflict out of boredom, start unnecessary arguments when the attention wanes, or retreat into seductive games with other men the moment the intensity fades. She needs to be seen not because she's worthy, but because she's addicted to validation. And if you don't recognize this early, you'll pay the price later. Men often confuse boredom for lack of chemistry, and they try harder, more gifts, more stimulation, more drama, trying to keep her attention. But what they're really doing is feeding her chaos. You're rewarding her instability with effort, and over time, she'll crave more instability just to feel alive. You will be her dopamine hit, and when you no longer deliver it, she'll look elsewhere. Carl Jung would identify this woman as someone driven by an unintegrated anima, the feminine spirit in turmoil. She's not grounded in presence because she hasn't faced her own shadow, and so she projects her inner disorder into the relationship, hoping you'll fix what she can't face alone. But that's not your job. You are not her father. You are not her therapist. And you are not her clown. You are a man on a mission. And any woman who cannot sit in peace with you, who cannot find meaning in the ordinary, will not endure the extraordinary. So here's your challenge. Step back, reduce attention, create moments of silence and watch. How does she respond when you're not performing? Does she grow cold, restless, disrespectful? Or does she hold space with grace, confidence, and quiet strength? A high-value woman will find ways to contribute in your stillness. She'll read, build, reflect, stay composed. But a woman addicted to chaos will seek stimulation from others, gossip, online validation, passive-aggressive comments, anything to break the silence. Your job isn't to keep her entertained. Your job is to protect your peace. And that means being with a woman who doesn't panic in boredom because she's already at peace within. If you compromise on this, you'll find yourself in a prison of false excitement, constant tension, endless games, exhaustion disguised as intimacy. But when you choose stillness, When you demand it from your partner, you create the foundation for a relationship that can weather storms. In her silence, you'll find her truth. Now comment below. Her peace matters more than her beauty. Her history whispers the future. Don't ignore the patterns. If you want to know where a woman is going, start by asking where she's been, not out of judgment, but out of strategic awareness, because a person's past may not define them, but it always reveals their patterns. And in the quiet corners of her past, you'll find the hidden blueprint of your potential future. This is not about being cruel, it's about being conscious. Machiavelli understood this with piercing clarity. He warned, "He who does not learn from the past is doomed to repeat it, not with enemies, but with lovers." And in the domain of women, nothing screams louder than the silence surrounding her history. Modern culture tries to silence this wisdom. It tells you her past doesn't matter, that it's insecure or sexist to care. But let's ask a harder question. If a woman has a long history of unstable relationships, betrayal, avoidance of accountability, what makes you think you will be the exception? Jung would call this the repeating complex unresolved psychic wounds that unconsciously drive a person to recreate the same pain again and again. In new costumes, a woman who has betrayed others, run from growth, or chosen chaos will subconsciously be drawn to repeat those dynamics with you, unless she's done deep inner work, but most haven't. So how do you know? Watch for how she speaks about her past. Does she take ownership, or is she always the victim? Are all her exes toxic and she's just unlucky? Or does she reflect on what she learned, what she changed? Ask about long-term bonds. Did she break them when they got difficult? Did she cheat? Ghost. Jump from man to man, looking for stimulation. This isn't about body count, it's about pattern count. Because here's the hard truth. If she's left a trail of emotional destruction behind her, and nothing in her present shows a radically different woman, she's not different, she's just newer. And you'll be her next lesson. So what do? You investigate, not with suspicion, but with wisdom. You ask uncomfortable questions, you observe, you slow things down, and you don't let beauty override discernment, because her beauty can make you blind, but her past will make you bleed. And if you see a pattern of betrayal, irresponsibility, or escapism, you walk, not to punish her, but to protect you, because you're not just choosing a woman, you're choosing the mother of your children, the guardian of your peace, the witness to your legacy. And if her past has been chaos, and she hasn't cleaned it up, that chaos will become your home. Jung taught that those who ignore the shadow are destined to be ruled by it. So don't ignore hers. And more importantly, don't ignore your own need to rescue, redeem, or be the one who changes her. That's not love, that's ego, and it will destroy you. So here is your standard. Choose women whose past you can respect, not excuse. Because when you choose someone who has earned their growth, who's looked in the mirror and done the work, you don't have to question loyalty. You don't have to fear betrayal. You can trust, build, expand. But when you ignore the past, you give it permission to repeat. Don't bet your future on her potential. Now comment below. Patterns don't lie, even if she does. Never align with a woman who disrespects your mission. It starts as a small comment, a passive jab at your ambition, a scoff when you mention your plans, a roll of the eyes when you speak about your purpose. You think it's just a moment, but Machiavelli would warn you, a threat to the throne, no matter how subtle, is still treason. A woman who does not align with your mission is not neutral. She is a liability, and if you do not treat that dissonance as urgent, it will fester until your empire crumbles under the weight of unspoken disrespect. Men who are building something real, a career, a vision, a legacy, must treat alignment like oxygen, because without it, you slowly suffocate. Here's what most men don't realize. A woman doesn't need to physically destroy what you're building to ruin it. All she needs to do is inject doubt, mock your passion, resent your late nights, or worse, pretend to support you while secretly hoping you'll slow down and stay in her comfort zone. Jung said the unconscious seeks completion, and if your unconscious still fears being alone, you'll overlook these misalignments just to keep her around. That's not love. That's self-betrayal in disguise. Let's get clear. A woman who aligns with your mission, encourages your discipline, not resents it, supports your focus, not distracts from it, respects your ambition, not competes with it. You do not have time to negotiate your standards with someone who views your life's work as a hobby. Your mission is not up for debate. It's the core of who you are. And if she mocks it, belittles it, or pulls you away from it, she's not your partner. She's your adversary wearing perfume. Here's how it plays out in the real world. You want to start a business. She wants more quality time. You're grinding to improve yourself. She says you're too obsessed with success. You invest in growth. She spends impulsively to feel free. It starts subtle. Then it becomes war, and your kingdom burns slowly, day by day, in the fire of compromise. So what do? First, get brutally honest. Ask yourself, does this woman help me build, or does she slow me down? Second, observe her values. Does she value time, discipline, respect, or does she chase comfort, chaos, and constant stimulation? Third, set the boundary. If she doesn't align with your mission, she doesn't get access to your energy. This isn't arrogance, it's order, because men who compromise their purpose for approval become men who are ruled by resentment. And resentment is the slow death of greatness. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Being a good man means protecting your purpose with the ferocity of a king guarding his borders. You do not need her approval to build your empire. You need her to honor it or get out of the way. The truth is simple. Not every woman is meant to be part of your journey, and that's okay. But the one who sees your vision and adds to it, she will multiply your power tenfold. Choose her, but only when you've learned to walk away from the ones who don't. A queen supports the crown, she doesn't question it. Now comment below. If she mocks my mission, she loses access to my kingdom. If she doesn't fear losing you, she'll never respect you. There's a quiet truth that most men learn too late. A woman who thinks you'll never walk away will slowly stop valuing your presence. She may not even do it consciously, but certainty breeds complacency. And when you give her unconditional access, regardless of how she treats you, you've already lost her respect. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." In the realm of power, love without fear often becomes entitlement, and in relationships, when fear of loss disappears, so does the urgency to protect what one has. If she doesn't fear losing you, she will test you. She'll push your boundaries, she'll dismiss your warnings, not because she's evil, but because human nature gravitates toward the limits of what is allowed, and if your tolerance is endless, her respect will be too shallow to matter. Let's go deeper. Jung spoke of the anima, the feminine part of the male psyche, and its tendency to yearn for union, to dissolve itself in love. But when that yearning becomes weakness, when a man sacrifices his center just to be accepted, the anima turns against him. He becomes emotionally dependent, no longer a sovereign being, but a shadow orbiting her approval. That's when attraction dies. Not because you're not good enough, but because you've made yourself too available. You've become predictable, and in the female psyche, the man who cannot walk away is the man she cannot fully admire. Here's what happens when you tolerate everything just to keep her around. She loses interest in impressing you. She stops valuing your effort. She begins treating you like an option because you've stopped being a challenge. Real talk. If she knows you'll forgive every transgression, tolerate every insult, and remain no matter what, she will consciously or not stop trying. So what's the solution? Set the boundary and mean it, not with threats, with action. If she disrespects you, withdraw your attention. If she mocks your values, step back from the connection. If she crosses the line, show her the cost. Not to manipulate, not to punish, but to remind her and yourself that your presence is earned, not owed. This is not about cruelty. This is about preserving polarity. The masculine must be rooted in strength, not aggression, but the strength to say, I know my worth, and if you can't meet me there, I will leave. That edge, the willingness to walk away, is not about games, it's about dignity. And here's the paradox. When a woman knows you will leave rather than be disrespected, she feels safer, not more afraid. Why? Because she knows you won't betray yourself, and that makes you trustworthy. You must become the man who values himself more than the relationship. The man whose boundaries are not dependent on her mood. The man whose silence says, try that again and you'll experience life without me. This doesn't make you cruel. It makes you clear. You're not here to convince her to stay. You're here to build a kingdom, and she can walk beside you or walk away, but she cannot walk all over you. Remember this. The man who cannot leave is the man who gets left. Respect begins where fear of loss exists. Now comment below. If she no longer fears losing me, she's already lost me. How she talks about other men reveals everything. You can tell everything about a woman by how she talks about the men in her life. Her father, her exes, her brothers, her male co-workers. If her words are drenched in bitterness, sarcasm, or contempt, don't fool yourself into thinking you'll be the exception. You'll just be the next chapter in her unresolved war with the masculine. Why does this matter? Because love without respect is manipulation waiting to happen. Carl Jung warned us. The unconscious animosity toward archetypes, father figures. Male authority often gets projected onto whoever's closest. If she carries unresolved resentment toward men, it won't matter how well you treat her, that resentment will eventually be aimed at you. Machiavelli would tell you, do not ally with someone who cannot distinguish between friend and enemy. And in this case, if all men in her story are enemies, then what are you really? It starts subtly. Maybe she rolls her eyes when you speak of ambition or leadership. Maybe she casually brings up how all her exes were trash. Maybe she scoffs at your ideas. Or she compares you unfavorably to fictional characters who are just emotionally neutered versions of idealized men. These aren't red flags, they're flares fired from a shipwrecked past she refuses to leave behind. Here's what she may say. My dad was never around, so I don't trust men. All men cheat eventually. You're not like other guys, they're all insecure. The last one sounds like praise, but it's not. It's a trap, because the moment you show a flaw, you'll be thrown into the same box. You'll become what she secretly expects all men to become, a disappointment. And you'll spend the rest of the relationship trying to prove you're different, instead of just being yourself. Now consider the opposite. A woman who speaks highly of her father, who shows gratitude even for the exes who taught her lessons. A woman who respects strong male energy and doesn't flinch when you take the lead. That woman understands polarity. That woman has integrated her own animus. As Jung would say, she doesn't need to fight you. She's ready to join you. Mature feminine energy honors the masculine, not because it's perfect, but because it's necessary. Here's how to evaluate. Listen to her tone. Does she talk about men with sarcasm or softness? Observe her relationships. Does she have male friends or mentors she respects? Watch her reactions. When you speak with confidence, does she support or challenge you unnecessarily? If you ignore these signs, you'll pay the price later, not through drama, but through a slow erosion of respect. She may never scream at you, but one day you'll feel smaller in her presence. Not because you shrank, but because she never believed in you in the first place. Your job is not to heal her past, it's to protect your future. And if you sense that she's fighting ghosts instead of loving a man, walk away, not in anger, in clarity. This is how Stoicism meets depth psychology. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You do not need to fix her wounds. You need to honor your own worth enough not to step into a battlefield that was never yours. Because in love, respect is not optional. It's the soil where everything either grows or withers. You don't rise in love, you sink or soar, depending on the level of respect. Now, comment below. How she speaks about men tells me how she'll treat me. The man who stands tall in his own peace is wealthier than the one drowning in chaos, masquerading as love. The choice is yours. Will you rise or remain entangled? If this message struck you deep, if it cracked open a truth you've been avoiding, if it lit a fire within, don't just move on. Act now. Like this video to declare your stand. Share it with the brothers in your life who need this wake-up call. Subscribe and join the Man of Substance movement for unrelenting, unfiltered truths you won't find anywhere else. This isn't just a channel, it's a revolution, a battle for the souls of men still lost in illusions. If you believe in this fight, if you want to awaken men across the globe, support our mission through the link below. Those who sleep through this moment will be left with regrets, recounting what they lost. But you're building a life of strength, untouchable by chaos. Make your choice today. Choose yourself. Choose power. Choose the future. Rise up, and I'll see you in the next one.